This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, we have finally concluded the March Madness NCAA tourney, whatever you want to call it. It's over. Alright, it's over. It's done. March no longer means anything. Alright, but nonetheless, Villanova are your national champs. Alright, so we're going to be talking about, obviously, the game yesterday. We got a lot of recap too, because obviously we didn't get to talk. We haven't had a chance to talk about Saturday's games, the Final Four ones. So we'll mention those. Then we'll talk about the game from last night, which was Monday. All right, talk about the beatdown that it was. Give my thoughts on the tournament as a whole. Pretty much, just gonna fill the whole segment talking about March Madness. All right, anything that comes to mind or whatever. Just gonna kind of recap the tournament. So we'll be doing that. Second segment. It's looking like the Celtics are pretty good right now, so we're gonna be talking about them. All right, Brad Stevens is doing a whole bunch right now with nothing, I guess you could say. So we'll be talking about that. Third segment, we usually never fill a segment with soccer. Okay, usually that comes in at the fourth. But I should say, there is this guy named Zlatan Ibrahimovic who deserves to have a segment talked about. All right, for him. So we'll be doing that for the third segment. Fourth segment, going to give my thoughts on the whole Josh Rosen. I guess Jim Moore, he came out and said that Josh Rosen called him a millennial, said that he needs to be, I guess, not entertained, but engaged. You got to engage him pretty much to keep him there. Got to keep his mind going and all that. He's got to understand why you're doing stuff, understand it all. So we'll give my thoughts on that because it's kind of, I guess you could say it's been kind of taken negatively about Josh Rosen. So we'll be talking about that. And then pretty much make my picks for tonight's games and talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. All right, so it's going to be a fun show. So let's get into it. First up, like I said, we had the Final Four games on Saturday. We had Loyola Chicago facing off with Michigan. We had Villanova playing Kansas, okay? And Villanova obviously won that game 95-79. Kansas really stood no chance whatsoever. Pretty much any team that Villanova played stood no chance against that team. All right, and it's one thing I kind of learned. There was a narrative being put out there this season. So, anyways, though, we'll talk about that in a few. But either way, like I said, Villanova knocked off Kansas 95-79, and then we had Michigan knocking off Loyola Chicago 69-57. All right, and the thing with Loyola Chicago, I want to give some thoughts on that. Okay. There was the whole, and this isn't like the narrative I was talking about. I'm talking about college basketball season as a whole, but there was another narrative out there, whatever, with Sister Jean, talking about how she was a big part of this team and all that. And pretty much Loyola Chicago's little Cinderella run was just based off of Sister Jean. All right? It's not like I bet you if you go and talk to people who followed the college basketball tournament, all right, and ask them, who is the biggest name with Loyola Chicago? They're not going to name a player. All right. They're going to name Sister Jean. And that's kind of ridiculous because of the fact that the only player I could really name on Loyola Chicago, and I've been watching this tournament through and through too. All right. But the only name I could really remember from Loyola Chicago is the Towns dude. And I can't even remember his first name. The only reason I remember his name really is because Karl Anthony Towns wished him luck before a game. All right. And I know that these players are out here saying that, yeah, Sister Jean is good for them and stuff like that. They've been really enjoying it. But I'm sure, here's my take on it. I'm sure the players out here supporting it and all that because of the fact that if you go out and say oh, well, I mean, we're the ones who are playing. She's not really playing. Yeah, it's cool, but we deserve the credit too. That's going to be spun into a bad story. But I guarantee you in that locker room, these players, at least, wasn't a big problem by any means. I'm not saying it was. And again, this is all just a theory by me, just my opinion. All right. But I figured that these players in the locker rooms probably were like, man, they're talking about Sister Jean the entire time. We're the ones who are out here winning games, beating these good teams, playing well, and they're not talking about us at all. And it's true. They weren't. Not one Loyola Chicago player was being talked about enough. All right. Sister Jean got about 99.9% of the coverage for Loyola Chicago's run. The players didn't get 1 ounce of it. All right. Barely a percentage of it. Okay. And people are going to say, oh, well, Sister Jean's fun. I mean, you're just knocking it. It's not really a big deal. Like, I kind of feel like it's probably not a big deal, but I feel like it was a problem. All right, and I understand with these Cinderella teams, you have to have some story that you run with, but eventually it's like, okay, they're playing in the Final Four. How about we talk about the team rather than Sister Jean? All right? They're out here making Sister Jean t-shirts and all that. CBS literally pans to Sister Jean about every other 5 seconds when they were playing. ESPN was on it, but nothing about the players at all. Nothing, not one thing about them. Because why? Oh, it's not like they have been playing and winning games. No, it's Sister Jean. Frankly, simply put, it's just like an older lady watching the games. I mean, and I'm not trying to sound harsh or anything like that, but come on. All right? We're not going to talk about Loyola Chicago after this year. All right? Now the tournament's done, we're not talking about Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago goes back to whatever conference they came from. All right? They make the tournament next year. Maybe we'll mention this little run that they had. Maybe next year with whatever Cinderella team is in the tournament next year, we'll be saying, oh, maybe compare them to the Loyola Chicago team possibly. All right? But like I said, there was just like no coverage on the players whatsoever. I can't tell you the coach's name. I can only tell you what that dude's last name, Towns. All right? That's it. Loyola Chicago was a really good team. It's not like they were a team who got lucky throughout. All right? They were playing good basketball, sticking to a game plan, and getting things done. And it's just, for some reason, it is kind of frustrating to see that CBS, ESPN, all those media outlets pretty much just ran with Sister Jean. I understand that's what's going to get you the clicks, that's what's going to get you the views, that's what's going to get more eyeballs out there. But eventually, we are watching a sports tournament. I would probably like to see more of the focus on the players playing the sport rather than a fan, if we're being real here. All right? And again, I'm probably sounding like a Debbie Downer and all that. I'm not trying to be, but I feel like what I'm saying is making sense, at least, okay? But either way, like I said, Loyola Chicago got knocked out in the Final Four. Michigan played well. Loyola Chicago was close. I think they had the lead at the end of the first half, and it's just like last 6 minutes or so. Loyola Chicago couldn't buy a bucket. Michigan was playing pretty good defense, and it's just the good thing came to an end. All right? So either way, that's it. We're not going to hear about Sister Jean ever again, to be honest. All right? We're not going to hear about Loyola Chicago ever again. But it is what it is. So then we go to the Final Four, or to the championship game, I should say. Michigan versus Villanova. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to make that prediction because of the fact that game was yesterday, and we start the beginning, like the first day of the week for this podcast is on Tuesday. So if you want to hear my prediction, it's on the GSMC basketball podcast. All right, I do that in the first segment. And what I said on there was, obviously, if you guys remember from the Sweet 16, I picked the rest of the games, and I picked Michigan to win it. Okay? We remember this. So, on the podcast yesterday, I said, you know what? I made my pick at the Sweet 16, said Michigan was going to win it all, so I'm going to stick with Michigan. And then after that, I said, but in my head, in my heart, I think Villanova's going to win. And I wouldn't be surprised if Villanova blew them out. Okay? And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. The game was close for the first 2 minutes. I think Michigan even had the lead for a few minutes. And then Villanova realized, okay, yeah, we're the best team in college basketball right now, so maybe let's play like it. And they absolutely stomped down on Michigan. Michigan stood no chance. All right, I'm watching the game with a bunch of my buddies. Have my cousin come over and all that. He brought his friends over. We're having a good time, eating pizza, watching the basketball game. And me and my buddy were going for rooting for Michigan. All right? I hadn't wasn't really I need Michigan to win or anything like that. I'm perfectly fine with Villanova winning. Like I said, I thought they'd win, but the only reason I picked Michigan was because of the fact that I picked them from the Sweet 16 and on. Plus, that was the only Final Four team that I had that actually made it in my bracket. All right? So, I'm telling my friend, because he made a little wager with one of my other buddies, and He's worried about it, seeing that Michigan's not really coming back or anything like that. And I'm thinking, you know what? It's a game of runs. That's how the tournament's been all year. I'm thinking about Nevada pretty much. Didn't matter how much they were up by or how much they were down by. Someone's going to make a run. Nevada was going to make a run. Didn't matter. All right, so I figured Michigan's going to go on a run. It's going to be close. We're going to make it close, and we'll go from there. Now, that run never really started. All right. There was times, I think, in the second half where Michigan would get a bucket, they get a turnover, score again. You're like, okay, this is it right here. This is it. And then, what's the guy's last name? DiVincenzo? Is it? I gotta figure out how to pronounce his last name. It was number 10. Yeah, DiVincenzo. Dante DiVincenzo. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, Dante DiVincenzo goes out, and the guy was having the game of his life. Okay? There was no stopping him whatsoever. The dude put up 31, I believe. And like I said, Michigan would go. Looked like they were going to start the run. Then DiVincenzo hits 2 threes. And it's just like, oh, okay, it's over. Villanova really showed no mercy in that game. Okay? No mercy whatsoever. Michigan looked like a deer in the headlights. Okay? It was just bad from, I guess, from 13 minutes left in the first half to the end of the game. It was just terrible for Michigan. Okay, if you're a Michigan fan watching that game, and that's one thing to imagine. You're a Michigan fan, you've seen your team make it to the national championship 2013 and 2018. And yes, I get you got to watch the Fab Five and all that. Doesn't really matter now because we're at this point in time. All right, but imagine last 2 times it's just couldn't get the job done. All right, and with Villanova, the narrative I was mentioning earlier is that there was no clear-cut number 1 team in basketball. Okay, there wasn't. That's the story that was being pushed. That's why we were being told there was all these upsets, because there was no clear-cut great number 1 basketball team. It turns out there was, and it turns out it was Villanova, okay? For some reason, I have this thing with Villanova where I just can't buy into the program. I can't. I don't know why. And I think now, after yesterday's game, I have to. I have no choice. And I might have bought in a little too late, because Villanova has won 2 out of the last 3 national titles. All right? I think it was what? North Carolina won it last year. I think I have to go double check that. But either way, they won it the year before against North Carolina, where Chris Jenkins hit that shot. Remember, Marcus Page hit the 3 before that, and you got Chris Jenkins coming, and then boom. All right, now you got Dante DiVincenzo out here dropping 31, looking like a stud, hitting every shot he can, and it's just Villanova's dominant right now, okay? And Villanova, maybe the fact that I haven't really been able to buy into them is that Villanova has never really been a top program since I've been around watching college basketball. Like, yes, last few years, yes, they've definitely been a top program, and that's no question at all. But it's just, like, they're not like the Dukes who have consistent success. Okay, obviously Duke's not winning the national title every year, but you know Duke always has a chance to do well in the tournament. Okay, I don't think Villanova was ever that team with the continued consistent success. But like it's like maybe we got to start putting them up there. All right, yes, they play in the Big East, and I know that's not something that people like to credit or anything like that. Like, oh, you play in the Big East, that's not really that good or anything. But it's just Villanova has turned into that team where they're here, I think, for the long run. It's time I start treating it like that. If there's anyone out there like me, it's time we start buying it. All right, Villanova, like I said, even when they won the national championship against North Carolina, I was like, they're going to lose eventually because it's the Villanova way. Okay, no matter how well they do, they always used to seem to falter in the tournament, and it's like now it's kind of that whole narrative has gone away, and it's just Villanova is a very good team, and by far this year was the best team in college basketball. It's true. All right, don't tell me Duke. All right, he's like thinking, oh yeah, Duke during the regular season was like any team you tell me is wrong. Villanova, no doubt, the best team in college basketball. It's not close. Go ahead and check their games from the tournament this year, and that's that. All right, one thing, too, my buddy mentioned about Michigan, about this tournament. I was really high on Michigan because of the fact that I believe they won the Big Ten, and they haven't lost since February or anything like that. I've been playing well. Okay, and my friend mentioned to me that Michigan never really played like that top team. Okay, I'm going to go double-check the bracket right now, but I'm almost positive they did not play a 4 seed or higher this tournament. And again, I have to double check here because I know they played Montana the first round, which is the 14 seed. You played Houston, who is a 6 seed. Then you played an A&M team who was a 7 seed. You played Florida State, who was the 9 seed. And then you played Loyola Chicago in the Final Four, who was the 11 seed. And I'm not trying to knock Michigan, okay? Again, I think it's safe to say that Michigan was the second best team in this tournament. All right, and people say, well, yeah, they made it to the championship game. But, there's always those teams where one bad bounce or whatever, they play really well, and it's just one game-winning shot or whatever, and they lose. Michigan, I think, throughout the tournament, obviously besides the national title game, was playing extremely well, and I think that constituted them as the second-best team in the tournament, okay? Michigan basically did what Kentucky was supposed to do, all right? Because Kentucky knocked off number 12 Davidson. Arizona loses their first round, so you get to play number 13 Buffalo. Then you get to play number 9 Kansas State, okay? That's where people were expecting, that's the Michigan thing right there. You're supposed to beat the team below you, all right, because you have an easy route to the Final Four in the championship. They would have played Kansas State, all right, 9 seed. Then they would have played Loyola Chicago, who is an 11 seed, and then you would have been playing Michigan, okay? And yeah, basically, like I'm saying, it's just Michigan did what Kentucky's job was supposed to do. And I'm not trying to knock them, but I think for people who pick Michigan, probably should have, including me, because I didn't realize this until mid-second half or whatever, or even after the game. Can't remember exactly when he told me. But it's just one of those where we should have understood what was going to happen. And like I said on the basketball podcast, if you think I'm lying or whatever, go ahead and check that out, the first segment. I said I picked Michigan because that was my pick from the Sweet 16 and on, so I'm going to stick to it. But I would not be shocked at all if Villanova won this game by double digits. All right, in my head, in my heart, I knew how this game was going to end, okay? Villanova was just that good. But either way, like I said, Villanova, you're national champions. All right, believe it or not, there was one great team in this college basketball season, which was very wild, and it was Villanova, okay? Villanova was the one constant. All right, let's go through their games, okay? Knocked off Radford 87-61, knocked off Alabama 81-58, knocked off West Virginia 90-78, knocked off Texas Tech 71-59, beat the other number 1 seed in the tournament, Kansas, 95-79, and then absolutely just destroyed Michigan, 79-62. All right, I can't remember. I think it was North Carolina some years ago where they went through every game of the tournament and knocked off everyone by double digits from start to finish, I think it was. I think that's the last time they did it. I have to double check what year that was, but I mean, the dominance that Villanova put out in this tournament was just outstanding and ridiculous. And like I said, I finally got to buy into the program. I can't doubt them anymore. But either way, that's just my thoughts on it. Next up, we're going to be talking Celtics and pretty much the run that they've been on. We're going to talk Raptors a bit too, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. In that first segment, we spent just the entire one talking college basketball. We talked about Loyola Chicago and Sister Jean. Didn't really like the fact that Loyola Chicago, like the players themselves, weren't getting the media attention I guess you could say they deserved. I understand that Sister Jean is the cool story and all that. It's the feel-good story. It's an older lady, and it's just teams playing well, so let's put 2 and 2 together. But eventually, we should have started actually talking about the team. All right, once the team made it to the Final Four, the focus should have been on them. All right, let me tell you something, okay? Sister Jean, no matter how much you might want to believe it, she had nothing to do with that team winning basketball games. You know that? And again, I'm probably sounding like the biggest Debbie Downer right here, and it is what it is. But Sister Jean had really nothing to do with the games, okay? Yes, it was probably nice to have her on the sideline, and I'm sure she gave them some words of encouragement and all that, but it's just, let's give some credit to the players, yeah? But either way, Villanova, you're national champions, and it's been quite the year for Philly, okay? The Eagles won the Super Bowl, knocked off the evil Empire Patriots, okay? And yes, I know you think, oh, the evil empire is the Yankees, but I wanted to call the Patriots the evil empire because the Patriots and the Yankees are basically the same teams in different leagues, okay? So, yeah, Eagles won the Super Bowl. Villanova wins the national title. And I'm curious with Villanova. Like, is Villanova in Philly? Or is Villanova kind of like that person who lives in some weird city outside of Philly but claims to live in Philly? All right? And if you're listening to this and that's you, yes, I'm talking to you. Okay, I'm sure there's some of you out there that kind of can relate to that. All right? Or is Villanova like actually in Philly? And I think I'm going to need to double check that on my cellular device. But either way, like I said, big year for Philly if Villanova is actually from Philly. And again, I can't really... if they're not from Philly, like if I check this and they're not from Philly, then it doesn't count for Philly. It counts for the state of Pennsylvania, okay? Let me see right here. They are from... Yeah, so I think it is one of those it says Radnor Township. It's 12 miles northwest of Philadelphia or whatever. So technically, I guess it's not in Philly. But I mean, I feel like Philly's claiming Villanova. So if Philly claims Villanova, then it is what it is there. But I always feel kind of weird. Like, if you don't, like, we just seeing people, because that's what, like, the biggest city I feel that people claim that they live in, even though they live on the outside of it. Like, if you don't live in Philly, you don't live in Philly. If you live in Philly, you live in Philly. All right? It's cool. Don't worry about it. But either way, just want to talk about that for a sec. Maybe the Sixers win the title this year. Who knows? They're going to have to go through possibly a team like the Boston Celtics, who we're going to be talking about right now. All right, so with the Celtics, okay, perfect little bridge right there. Celtics, as you know, they've been without Kyrie Irving. They've been without Marcus Smart. Been without Daniel Tice. Been without a handful of the players, kind of in and out there, okay? Kyrie, Marcus Smart, probably going to be out to the second round. We'll see if Boston ends up making it that far. And this is something we've kind of hinted at, talked briefly about it, but we haven't really discussed it in depth, okay? And with what the Celtics are doing right now, and they have a game going on tonight against the Bucks, okay, and we'll get more into that. But it's just what the Celtics are doing right now with the players that are out is pretty incredible if you're paying attention to it, okay? And I'm not going out here saying, oh, yeah, the Celtics are winning the title or anything like that. I'm not saying that by any means, so please don't jump on me here. I'm just trying to highlight the fact that the Celtics, like I said, have been out without a bunch of players, are giving guys like Abdel Nader, Shane Larkin, Shemi Ojeleye, and a bunch of other D-Leaguers a whole bunch of minutes, okay? Ojeleye got drafted in the second round this year, so obviously he's not a D-Leaguer or anything like that. But it's like with Shane Larkin and Abdel Nader, I believe Abdel Nader was playing in the G League last year, the D League, whatever it was last season. I feel like the name changes every year. So yeah, he was there. Shane Larkin was playing basketball in Spain, okay? Not in the NBA. Was not in the league last year. All right. I think he got drafted, got traded. He got his rights traded to the Mavericks or got drafted to the Mavericks. But either way, had the beginning of his NBA career. Wasn't working out. Leaves over to Spain. And I'm not sure really what prompted the Celtics in bringing in a guy like Shane Larkin. Maybe because I haven't seen his stats in Spain. Maybe they were like really good, but it's just the Celtics brought a guy over from Spain. And yes, I know who Shane Larkin is. He's not just a guy from Spain or anything like that. But it's just a matter of you bring in a guy like that, you're giving him a bunch of minutes, and it's working out, okay? He's playing well. Can you see how kind of ridiculous that is? All right? Just because of the fact that the dude's been playing so well for a top team in the East. All right, and let me see if I could find Shane Larkin's stats right here in Spain, because maybe this will give a little... All right, so he played 33 games last season. All right, let's see. He had... How many points did he have? He averaged 13 points, shot 45% from 2, 34% from 3, was a nearly 80% free throw shooter, 79.7, so we'll just call him 80. All right, averaged 2 rebounds a game, nearly 6 assists a game. Yeah, so he averaged 13, 2, and 6, I guess you could say. So I guess if you want to round it up, 13, 3, and 6. Those aren't really great. Let me see, he played playoffs over there. Averaged 12 in the playoffs, 54% from the field, 35 from 3. All right. And now he's playing for the Celtics, all right? And what I'm getting at here is just, it's not like the Celtics have been beating bad teams, and that's why they've been on this little run. Okay, the Celtics have beat the Thunder. They beat the Jazz, the Trailblazers. They beat the Raptors on Saturday. All right, and they beat the Raptors like 110-99. They beat the Raptors by 11. okay? They beat the number 1 team in the East by 11 without their best player and a very crucial player to that team in Marcus Smart. All right, and one of the biggest reasons why the Celtics, like you said, have played so well, there's 2 big reasons, okay? Brad Stevens is just a genius, and Jason Tatum has really taken off into this little role he's had since Kyrie Irving went down or left to get his little procedure, and now he's going to be out for a couple weeks or whatever till the second round of the playoffs. All right, with Jason Tatum, he had a bad January, I believe it was. I know he had one bad month where he hit the rookie wall pretty much. Wasn't playing well at all, really. Got past that. Was playing well. Kyrie goes down. It's kind of like, what's going on for the Celtics team? Like, what's going to happen here? And one of the biggest misconceptions about the Celtics was that they were a bad team without Kyrie Irving. And the record shows different. I believe this season, the Celtics only have 4 losses. Like the last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago, I believe, was that the Celtics, and this could be a little bit different. Like this isn't the exact numbers, but I believe the last time I saw, which was, like I said, a couple of days ago, I believe, the Celtics were 13-4 without Kyrie Irving. All right, and people saying, oh yeah, Kyrie Irving's been missing like a bunch of games. Yeah, he's been out with that little knee soreness or whatever, but I don't think it's really much of a problem for the team if he's got the surgery and it's starting to feel better. But the 13-4 without Kyrie, obviously, that doesn't really show that they're worse without him. Okay, obviously, are they a better team with him? Yes. Are they a better team without him? I'd say no. Okay, but nonetheless, you got a guy like Jason Tatum who has gotten those shots that Kyrie is not taking now that he's out. Okay, he has been the primary scorer on that team. And people will say, no, it's been Terry Rozier. And I guess you can make the argument for Terry Rozier, but I just feel like we've seen a couple of instances where Boston's coming down to the last shot, and it's been Marcus Morris or Jaylen Brown. But you could tell that in that crunch time, like in those moments, Jason Tatum is getting the ball most of the time there, okay? And with Tatum, it's just a matter of when Kyrie comes back, it's just a matter of, is he going to be able to keep up those numbers? Obviously, I think they're going to dip because Kyrie's got to go in and get his. But I think with the confidence Jason Tatum's building up right here, this could bode well for Boston in the playoffs. All right? And one thing with Boston in the playoffs, right now they're currently the 2 seed, and they'd be facing off with a team like the Bucks. That's probably Bucks or Heat. That's probably best case scenario since Kyrie's not going to be playing in that first round. But worst case scenario is you play a team like the Wizards, okay? And if you're the Celtics and you got to play a team like the Wizards in the first round, all that means is that you got to play a team who's been in the playoffs year in, year out. John Wall, one of the best point guards in the league. You're missing your best point guard. And oh yeah, that Wizards team really seems like they like to take things to heart. They really I feel like they're a team that holds grudges. So they're not going to forget the fact that even though it's a completely different Celtics team, they lost to last year. Like they're going to have that in their mind this year. All right. They're going to be the whole, where you need revenge and all. And like I said, this is a completely different Celtics team from last year. But nonetheless, I mean, with the Wizards losing in the second round last year in 7 games and having Kelly Olynyk put up, what was it, a 27-28 spot on that team, they're not going to forget it. All right. The whole little rivalry that Kelly Olynyk seemed to have with Kelly Oubre, which is, like I said, like it all doesn't even matter anymore because the fact that this team is so different. But the Wizards really look like a team that really, like, they're the definition, I always say, they're the definition of irrational confidence, okay? I think last year, they were saying that they would have beat the Cavs and all that. And this is like not even during the playoffs. This is after the fact that they lost, all right? So they were talking about that, and that's kind of dangerous for the Celtics, and you see them in the first round. Obviously, the Wizards, and plus John Wall going against Terry Rozier. And mind you, Terry Rozier has been very good this year without Kyrie. But it's just a matter of, I'm taking John Wall in that matchup 10 times out of 10. Okay, and it's nothing against Terry Rozier. It's just John Wall's the better point guard and the playoff experience. And yes, Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, they all have playoff experience. But when you don't have your best player out there, they're going to struggle. Okay? Celtics lost Isaiah Thomas in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They struggled. Won one game because Avery Bradley hit a 3 that, took about 10 different bounces and finally went in. All right. But nonetheless, with the Celtics right now, like I said, I'm just kind of zeroing in on this run. They're only 2 games back of the Raptors. Tonight, they're going to be playing the Bucks. It's going to be tough for them to pull that one out because you don't have Terry Rozier. You don't have Shane Larkin. I'm very curious as to see who's going to be running the point guard position. I know Tatum, because obviously with Brad Stevens, how he runs the team, it's very, it's different, okay? It's not in the norms. You don't have prototypical point guard player playing the position. Sometimes you'll have Jason Tatum bring the ball up, playing the point guard position. Sometimes even Al Horford will bring the ball up, okay? And I'm just kind of curious to see how Brad Stevens is going to deal with the lineup tonight, since he has the only 2 point guards I feel he had left out. I think I signed Xander or Xavier Silas. They got Kadeem Allen. I'm not sure if Jabari Bird plays point guard. All right, but and again, I'm going to have to double check. I'm really curious to see what lineup Brad Stevens pulls out. But I'm guessing it'd be kind of like a possibility of maybe Kadeem Allen or Silas, which I highly doubt. Maybe you go with Tatum running the point, Brown playing the 2, and I'm just trying to think what players the Celtics have left to plug in. Maybe you go Shemi Ojeleye at the 3, or maybe Marcus Morris at the 3, play Horford at the 4, and Baines at the 5. Like I said, I mean, that game against the Bucks is going to be tough, but either way, the whole point about the games going on tonight is the Raptors got the Cavs, Celtics got the Bucks, okay? The Celtics were to knock off the Bucks by some miracle with the 2 guards they got out today, and the Cavs were to beat the Raptors at home, which I think they will. Celtics and Raptors play tomorrow for first place. Celtics win, they got possession, all right? And the Celtics play the Hawks, I think. They play Brooklyn. They play a bunch of bad teams to round out the regular season. The Celtics were to get that first seed on Wednesday from the Raptors. I don't think they give that up. And if you get the first seed, then I think it kind of guarantees you the fact that you're going to be playing either the Heat and Bucks, and you won't have to see Cleveland unless Philly or Indiana ends up jumping them with 4 games left or whatever it is till the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay. If I'm the Celtics, I'm not really too worried about Philly because by the time you got to play them, it'll be the second round. And even with Indiana, by the time you got to play them, it'll be the second round. And Marcus Morris and Kyrie Irving should be back by then. Kyrie Irving for sure. I'm not really sure about Marcus Smart. And I think I might have called him Marcus Morris a couple seconds ago. But yeah, Marcus Smart. All right. So yeah, just getting back to the point. I mean, it's just the way that Brad Stevens had this team playing. All right. This should be the year. If it's going to be tough, okay? Because if he doesn't, like if he finishes the 1 seed in the East, then yeah, Brad Stevens deserves Coach of the Year. There's no doubt about it. All right, from Gordon Hayward pretty much having his foot fall off of his body, it looked like, in the first game, to Kyrie Irving dealing with knee soreness throughout the year, missing games. All right, to having to play in a guy like Shane Larkin, to having to play guys like Abdel Nader, Shane Larkin, bunch of minutes. All right, to having to have your rookie step up and play well. All right, and to finish as the first seed, that's got to mean something, okay? And if he doesn't finish as the 1 seed, then I say you can go with a guy like Quinn Snyder, go with a guy like Dwayne Casey, Mike D'Antoni, all right? But it's just right now, I think you got to think that Brad Stevens has to be the front runner right now. If it wasn't Brad Stevens, then I go Quinn Snyder, and then I'll go Dwayne Casey, all right? Mike D'Antoni, yes, he's a good coach, but it's like you got James Harden and Chris Paul on your team. You're doing exactly what you should be doing, okay? This isn't like something special. This is exactly what the Rockets are supposed to be doing, okay? The Celtics should not be this good. The Jazz should not be that good, and the Raptors usually are never this good, all right? So that's kind of my little rationale on it. But either way, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to talk about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. And then we had some travel leagues going on today, so maybe we'll just do a full-on soccer segment. But either way, we'll be talking about Ibra in the next segment for sure. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked March Madness, gave my thoughts on that. maybe next time when we have a Cinderella seed going, let's talk about the players rather than whatever fan they got out there. And I know Sister Jean has some type of job with the school. I think it is. I can't remember exactly. All right. I wasn't really paying attention to Sister Jean too much. I was really trying to. There was no interest for me there. Okay. I know I'm the minority, but either way. We got Villanova, who won the national title. I finally bought in, all right, as I should have a long time ago. I don't really understand why I never did, but either way, they were the clear-cut best basketball team in college basketball this season. It's not up for debate. If you're a fan of like Duke, you think, oh no, we were better in the regular season and we just lost to the number one team, whatever. Yeah, Villanova blew out that team by 12 or 16, whatever it was. All right, like whatever team that you followed for the regular season and thought maybe that was better combined with what you guys did in the tournament, which I think if you were a very good team during the regular season, you probably got upset in the tournament really early. But either way, however well you think your team did this season does not come close to Villanova, and it never will for this season. So just get over it. Villanova is the best team clearly in college basketball this season. There was the narrative we didn't have a best team or a best group of teams. Didn't matter because Villanova was head and shoulders over everyone, and they proved it, okay? Double-digit wins, across the board, blew out everyone. No one stood a chance, all right? No one. But either way, we talked about that. Second segment, we talked about the Celtics. Enjoyed that one. Talked about how Brad Stevens could possibly win Coach of the Year. Talked about the job he's did with the players he's got out there. All right, so good on him. Played well there. Now, there's this player, and I'm not sure how many of you follow soccer that listen to this podcast, but there is this player, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Let's say, I was talking about it yesterday on the soccer podcast too. Think of 5 players, okay? 5 players with, how about give me your think of your top 5 players with the biggest egos of all time, besides Ibrahimovic, if you already know how he is, okay? If you're not familiar with Ibra, you'll understand after this, okay? So think, whether it be a couple guys from the NFL, a couple guys from the NBA, a couple guys from baseball. I'm not even sure if guys from baseball are robots or they do have egos or whatever. I'm not really sure there. But just think, okay, the top 5 professional athletes with the biggest egos, okay? I'm sure Terrell Owens has to be in that list, along with a couple other guys. And again, don't put Ibrahimovic in there if you already know about him, and if you don't, you're going to get it. So now, you got all those egos, okay? 5 really huge egos. Put them all together. That might be Zlatan Ibrahimovic's ego. It might be a little bit less, all right? This guy is a fascinating player because of the fact that usually we see with players with egos such as his, and like there's no one really that's got an ego like his, they usually aren't very well liked. All right, but for some reason, Ibrahimovic has learned to use that and somehow make him one of the most liked players in soccer right now. But either way, that's besides the point, okay? So he made a move to LA Galaxy, got his contract terminated with Manchester United so he could move over to the MLS and go play in LA, okay? And, I mean, going from Manchester, I've never been to Manchester, but from what I hear and from what I see, not really the best weather place. So imagine going from like rainy Manchester. They'd be going from Seattle to California, all right? And I'm kind of different. I kind of do like the rain and all that, but either way, it's besides the point. So he's going from Manchester to LA, flies in Thursday, trains with the team Friday, I believe, and then has a game Saturday, okay? And mind you, this game is against the other LA team that's now out there, okay? Kind of like their rival is going to become, their rivalry game now, all right? LAFC is looking good. So far to start the season. LA Galaxy has been kind of bad. All right. And we start the game, okay? Ibrahimovic is on the bench, not starting, obviously, since he just barely even got there. Carlos Vela scores a great goal in the first 5 minutes. I think it was in the 5th minute he scored it. All right. Then in the 26th minute, comes out, chips everyone. All right. Hits the crossbar, goes in. Halftime comes. Galaxy still down 2-0. Okay. LA teams come out, play. 3 minutes pass. 48th minute. LA Galaxy hit an own goal. It's 3-0 LAFC. I'm watching this game with a couple of buddies. All right. And we're like, yep, Ibra, if he's going to come in, I mean, I guess now's the time. They're going to lose. It's pretty much thinking he's not going to do anything. Okay. Pretty much thinking this game's over. Ibra hasn't come in yet. LA Galaxy got to go back. It's 3-1. Ibra comes in the 70th minute, I believe. Then I can't remember. I think it was who scored the second goal. I have to double check that. But either way, Galaxy get another one, so it's 3-2. Now you're kind of like, oh, maybe something's going to happen. Still doubting Ibra's going to score. I think it's going to be one of those where he just got subbed on, but the rest of the team gets the goals and he doesn't really get it. Okay. 77th minute comes, I believe. Yeah, 77th minute comes. Okay. LAFC's keeper takes the goal kick, kicks it out there to the other side of the field, other half of the field. He gets headed by a Galaxy player to the other side into open space. Ibra, instead of taking the ball and dribbling it, decides, hey, first time, let me hit a shot, see what happens here. Goalkeeper's out of position for LAFC. Ibra hits the shot, goes over, and this is like closer to half field than it is the 18 box, okay? Hits it over the keeper's head, goes in. Twitter absolutely erupts, okay? The commentators for that game erupt. Everyone just, it was wild, okay? Like, and I wasn't like watching the game on my phone or anything like that because I had bad service and I didn't have a TV there where we were at. We were at a buddy's apartment or whatever. It's kind of the college life there. But either way, yeah, I had bad data or whatever, so I couldn't watch the game. So I'm checking Twitter, looking through everything, and you see Ibra scores. I'm like, oh, Ibra scored? Wonder if it was a good goal. Wonder if it was, what kind of goal it was, okay? And I ended up seeing the highlight because it got posted. And maybe I'm being a bit over dramatic, but that might be one of the best goals in MLS history. Because of the fact that not only was it just the goal itself, but the context of it, okay? Ibra gets into LA Thursday, possibly even Friday morning. I don't even remember, okay? Barely trains with the team. Saturday comes. Rivalry game. It's Ibra. People were waiting to see what's going to happen with him. Is this good for the MLS? And the guy goes out, hits a banger for the tying goal, okay? So that happens. Time is passing. Looks like LA Galaxy have all the momentum. All right, looking like they're going to end up maybe getting another one, or it's just a matter it's going to end in a draw. And if it ends in a draw, then that's perfect, okay? Because of the fact that they were down 3-0. Nonetheless, 90th minute comes. Of course. Who scores the game-winning goal for LA Galaxy? It's Ibra. All right? Ashley Cole, who, mind you, I completely forgot was even still playing soccer, let alone the MLS, okay? I remember he went from Roma to the Galaxy, I believe it was, but nonetheless, I mean, you're just not really more so thinking Ashley Cole was even playing soccer anymore, all right? Dude was a really good player with Chelsea. Now he's in the MLS playing for the Galaxy. Forgot the fact that he was even still there. All right. He crosses it into the middle. Ibra heads it. It goes in. Twitter erupts once again, okay? At one point, and again, this is an MLS match. MLS really doesn't get too much hype at all, okay? And Ibrahimovic is trending number one. I saw he had like 178,000 tweets about him, okay? And I think the Galaxy were trending too at one point. All right. The game ends 4-3. This was huge for the MLS. And there's the whole narrative. People still hang on to it that the MLS is a retirement league and that pretty much that's why Ibra scored. Okay. Ibra is on the back end of his career. I'd be surprised if he goes anywhere else after the Galaxy unless it's back to Sweden or maybe he goes to play for Ajax again. Okay, back in the Netherlands. I'm not sure really, but either way, Ibra is on the back half of his career. So you do have the people coming out and saying that, oh yeah, he's scoring against bad quality. This league isn't that good. It's a retirement league. And we get the whole retirement league because of the fact that you've had David Beckham, Rafa Marquez, who else? Schweinsteiger, Pirlo, pretty much. Villa, even though Villa came and pretty much tore up everything. Played well. Kaká. All right, all those guys came because the top European clubs were done with them. All right, there was no room for them whatsoever. Now you're just pretty much coming to MLS to get cashed out because now you're a big name. And I get that, but now I don't think the MLS is really much of a retirement league. I just think that the goals that Ibra produced were just quality, and it's just Ibra's that good of a player, okay? Coming off of an ACL injury, and it's just... the guy is world class. That's all it is. It's not like his goals have nothing to do with the MLS's quality or anything like that. Yeah, maybe the goalie could have been in better position, but we've seen that in the EPL. We've seen it in La Liga before. We've seen it in every single league, I feel, okay? So, with the whole Ibra thing, I think that this isn't a knock on the MLS. I think this is extremely better because Ibra is going to bring ratings. All right? And Fox Sports' PR account, the Twitter account, put out something. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it has to do with the fact that this was probably one of the most watched MLS games in quite a while. And when Ibra came on, everyone came to watch. And this is what MLS needs, okay? This is like the start of it. You need the ratings. You need the marketing. You need to bring interest to the league, okay? Because other than, I guess you could say, the hardcore soccer fans like me, no one's really going to tune in and have any interest in the MLS. All right? The casual soccer fan that's a fan of the EPL, the Bundesliga, the Liga, they're not going to be switching over to the MLS and watching those games when you got EPL going on, you got La Liga going on, you got Bundesliga going on, okay? And there is a massive drop-off from the quality of those three leagues to the MLS. It's the truth. The MLS, I think that they kind of set the bar they want to be at to where the EPL is currently at, but it's like they're not really even competing with the Liga MX right now, okay? As much as they want to think they might be, it's like you got to win the CONCACAF Champions League before anything, and that's one thing you can do with Toronto FC and New York Red Bulls playing two of Mexico's most historic clubs, okay, in the semifinals. That's one thing they got to start doing. It's not like just a matter of, oh, they won CONCACAF Champions League, now MLS is better. It's like, no, you got to consistently be in the final. I'm not saying win it every year like the Liga MX has or anything like that, but you need to go pretty much winning it more often than not. At least being competitive rather than being dominated year in and year out. All right. But for the MLS, I think this is a good thing. I don't think the MLS is a retirement league or anything like that. At one point, yes, I did have that mindset, but now I think it's kind of branched away from that. If anything, the MLS just needs to continue bringing in players from Europe. More so not guys on the back end of their career, but maybe guys who just can't crack the starting 11 for their squads. All right, still on the bench and all that, but you know you could bring them over and they'd get time over here. All right, and even then, so bringing in guys from Boca Juniors, River Plate, the South American players, kind of like how the Liga MX does. They'll bring in guys from Brazil, Chile, those leagues, Argentina, and they'll even bring in guys from Europe, like Andre Pierre Gignac, Eduardo Vargas, all those guys that came from Europe, okay? And that's kind of where I think the MLS is kind of struggling there, is because of the fact that they all run like franchises rather than how the rest of the soccer world works. All right, so I'm not sure how the money works there, and I know they got the designated players things and the players from, I don't know. There's got a whole bunch of rules going on there. But either way, the MLS needs to more so start doing that rather than bringing in these older guys. But, like I said, I mean, very exciting to watch there. I loved every minute of it. I'm going to be watching the Galaxy because of the fact that Ibra's must-watch TV, all right? But either way, I wanted to talk briefly about that. I know we had Champions League going on today, so we're just going to push that to the next segment. Going to give my thoughts on the whole Josh Rosen thing, too, and then we're going to be making my picks for tonight's NBA game. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked Zlatan Ibrahimovic, his goals against for the LA Galaxy, knocking off LAFC 4-3. We've talked March Madness, talked Villanova, your national champions, everyone's national champions, and we talked the Boston Celtics. All right, a lot. For this segment, as you know, we always talk about anything else going on in the world of sports and pretty much anything going through my mind as far as sports go, okay? I'm never going to get truly too deep with you guys as far as what goes through Jesse Toppy's mind, but either way, here we are. All right, and this is one of the first times in a while we just didn't do a football segment the first three. Football usually dominates, but just not today, all right? So either way, I mentioned Josh Rosen earlier, said that we're going to be talking about him for this segment, and we are, okay? Jim Mora, his UCLA coach, might have been his old UCLA coach, not sure if Jim Mora got fired before last year, either gives his opinion or is asked a question about Josh Rosen. Because obviously one of the biggest things with Josh Rosen during this draft process has been that, honestly, as the kids like to say it, he's too woke. All right. He's not a guy who falls in line and just keeps quiet. He's a guy who's got to talk and give his thoughts, honestly. Okay. That's been the biggest knock on him, which is honestly very ridiculous. All right. But either way, that's been the knock. So either Jim Mora gave his thoughts on it or someone asked him a question about it. Either way, he did give his thoughts on it, I guess you could say. All right. So Jim Mora comes out and says, I'm just paraphrasing here, says that Josh Rosen, he's a millennial. He needs to be challenged or else he's going to lose interest. All right. He needs to know why we're doing the things that we're doing. Pretty much just needs to understand. Okay. And that quote got put out. And it's just it's ridiculous. It really is. It truly, truly is ridiculous. And this is one thing I hate about football. I cannot stand it. Is the fact that these guys got to be robots. All right. The NFL, the MLB, that's where the robots play, okay? That's where you find robots. That's where you find guys who just show up, go hit baseballs, go field some, pitch, go home, all right? That's what the NFL, I feel, wants to be, okay? And it's just simply with the current generation that's coming up, that's not going to be the case, all right? There's no longer this whole thing with football guys in the NFL where it's just show up with your lunch pail, go home. All right, go work, go home. Keep quiet, read the playbook, go home. It's not that anymore. These players are starting to form minds of their own, and I can tell that that's not really the most popular thing in the NFL. All right, and that's one of the reasons why I guess that's one of the, that's literally the biggest thing that's been talked about with Josh Rosen is the fact that the dude questions everything. All right, people are going to say, yeah, it's a problem. You just need to listen to what the coach tells you to do it. But no, that's not right at all. All right, Peyton Manning was known for grilling his coaches during the team meetings, asking them why, understanding why they're doing things the way that they're doing them, and pretty much trying to understand. Drew Brees has done it. I was talking with Tate. He told me that Dan Marino is the guy who did it. Okay, and do you guys see anything similar with those guys? Do you? Yeah, it's the fact that they're all very great quarterbacks and had Hall of Fame careers. And those aren't the only three that did it either, let me tell you. I guarantee you, more so than not, quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame right now never just went out there and just did whatever the coach told them. I guarantee you, every single one of them went out and at least questioned whatever they were being told, at least to understand it. And that's my understanding with the whole Josh Rosen thing. He's questioning stuff to understand it. He wants to know why. He wants to be challenged. Why is that such a problem? Okay? And I think Jim Mora was more so saying it like it was a bad thing. Guys like Jim Mora, Jeff Fisher, John Fox, all the older ones, John Gruden possibly, this is why they're not coaching anymore. All right, obviously Gruden's got a 10-year deal, so he's going to be there for a while. And Gruden is more so the last of that little breed, except for a few. But that old version of the coach where it's like, I'm the guy who runs the show, you're going to listen to me, you're going to do it my way, and you're not going to ask questions, that's getting phased out. Okay, those coaches don't have jobs anymore. And the ones who are still like that in the league right now are on their last legs. Okay? And with the way Gruden's going with things, either he better hope that the plan he's got going is going to work, and it does. Otherwise, he'll be out of a job within 4 or 5 years. And I say 4 or 5 years because of the fact that you can't fire a guy after 2 or 3 years giving him a 10-year deal. All right? It's just a matter of that. Like I said, there shouldn't be a problem with the whole Josh Rosen wanting to know more as to why they're doing things the way that they are, trying to understand it. I feel like that should be welcomed. All right, I'm tired of the whole keep your mouth shut, show up, play football. I want to see more of this. The NBA, they're very outspoken as far as anything that has to do with anything, whether it's game plans, anything. They are not robots. That league is at its peak right now. It's never been better. All right. But with the NFL, for some reason, they want the robots. They want you to stay quiet. They want you to pretty much show up, which makes no sense. I think a guy like Josh Rosen, hearing this about him, makes me like him even more. It makes me think he's going to be even better than what I think he is. All right? Give me the guy who wants to understand what he's doing rather than the guy who's just blindly following rules. All right? Give me the other guy 10 times out of 10. All right? So I just wanted to give my thoughts about that. I mean, I just really don't understand why it's such a problem, why these old guys, and that's what it is. It's the older people at the NFL, all right? The coaches, guys in the front office, it's the older ones, all right? The ones that don't understand. Look at guys like Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Adam Gase for that matter, all right, the younger coaches in the league, okay? Pete Carroll's a guy who he's an older guy too, and he's not one who has his team stay quiet, all right? Pete Carroll's got a Super Bowl. Pete Carroll's done pretty successful for himself. Adam Gase made the playoffs his first season, all right? Not really sure the second season was obviously bad, but he had Jay Cutler out there. Sean McVay turns the Rams from one of the worst teams in the league to having one of the best offenses and winning their division in the span of a year. Kyle Shanahan has the 49ers back on track after the dumpster fire that they were. All right? This is the younger coaches league, and either these older coaches need to adapt or take yourself to the XFL or go coach in the Alliance of American Football. All right? Or maybe even to CFL, because they're getting phased out, and they need to realize it before it's too late. But either way, just wanted to give my thoughts on that. What else we got going on? We had Champions League going on today. Real Madrid made slight work of Juventus, won that one 3-0. And then Bayern Munich had a bit of a scare, ended up winning that one 2-1, I believe. Let me double check the score actually right there, but I'm almost positive Bayern Munich ended up winning 2-1. And again, I'm recording this like right after the game ended, so let me see real quick. Yeah, I believe it was 2-1. All right. Sevilla scored in the 32nd minute. 37th minute comes. Jesus Navas hits an own goal. Bayern Munich tied 1-1, and then Thiago hits the game winner in the 68th minute, which makes it 2-1, or makes it 1-1 with the own goal, and then 2-1 with Thiago scoring in the 68th minute. All right, so Bayern won 2-1 there. And then you had Real Madrid who won 3-0. Paulo Dybala, whatever you want to call him, leaves the game with a red card. Won't be playing in the next one. Neither was Sergio Ramos, because I believe he picked up too many yellow cards throughout the tournament. All right. Obviously, with Madrid winning 3-0, there is absolutely no chance whatsoever Juventus comes back. Okay, they came back against Tottenham, but it's simply not going to happen against Madrid. There's absolutely no way. I'd put my laptop up for it. All right, I don't really own too much stuff. I'm a college kid. I'm broke. It is what it is. But either way, yeah, there's no way Juventus is coming back. As for Bayern, had a bit of a scare, like I said, with Sevilla going up 1-0, but nonetheless, Bayern took care of business, and I'm sure they're going to win the next leg. I think they should. I think they were the away team. Yeah, Bayern was the away team along with Madrid, so pretty much Sevilla's got to bring in score at least 2, but Juventus has to score at least 3. All right, so we'll see about it. Either way, I think it's over. Madrid, put on a clinic. Ronaldo scored a bicycle kick. It was amazing. People were already comparing it, saying, is it the best of all time? No, it's not even close. Stop. It's not even better than Rooney's, okay? Against Manchester City. It was a great bicycle, though. Did enjoy watching it. But either way, that's how the games went on today. Like I said, Madrid won 3-0. No Paulo Dybala in the next game. Bayern won 2-1. Should handle business in the Allianz, which I believe their stadium is called next week, I believe it is. All right. Tomorrow, we got Roma versus Barcelona. We got Manchester City versus Liverpool. No Sergio Aguero on that one. Going to be fun, though. Going to be interesting to see how Liverpool plays now that Mohamed Salah has been playing pretty much lights out all season long. All right. But either way, like I said, Madrid up 1-3-0. Bayern won 2-1. So we're going to finish up here making my picks for tonight's NBA games. Let's get into it. First up, we got the Toronto Raptors facing off with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland's favored in this one. I'm going to go with them. They're the home team, so I'm going to pick them at 27-11 at home. Raptors are 24-14 on the road. I think this is going to should be one of those games where Cleveland ends up pulling it out. We got the Nets versus the 76ers. I'm going with Philly in this one. Really no need for an explanation there. Hawks versus Heat. Same thing here. I'm going with the Heat. No need for an explanation. We got two tanking teams, the Magic and Knicks playing. I'm going with the Magic, even though the Knicks are favored. Actually, I'm going to go with the Knicks. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Knicks. They got Michael Beasley who's been playing well. I'm going to go with the Knicks there. Hornets versus the Bulls. I'm going with Charlotte. Bulls are trying to lose. Kemba Walker's still trying to play well, so there's that. We got the Wizards facing off with the Rockets. I'm going to go with the Wizards in this one, okay? I think Chris Paul sat out the last game for the Rockets, but I just think I have this feeling that the Wizards are going to end up winning. I think John Wall's going to be playing in this one too, so we'll see. Celtics and Bucks, no Terry Rozier, no Shane Larkin. I just can't pick the Celtics in this one. Honestly, I think they'll probably end up pulling it out, but I'm just not going to pick them. I can't just base my pick off of thinking Brad Stevens is going to come up with some master plan as to why they're going to win. So I'm going with the Bucks. We got the Warriors versus the Thunder. I'm going with the Thunder in this one. They're favored. Kevin Durant usually plays well against the Thunder, but nonetheless, Russell Westbrook gets up for these games, as do the fans. Then we got the Trailblazers versus the Mavericks. I'm going with Portland in this one. Pretty easy to see why. Pacers versus the Nuggets. Nuggets are one of the best home teams in the league, 28-10 at home. Pacers are a very average road team, 20-18 on the road. Denver's favored in this one, but I got to go with Indiana, all right? Actually, I'm going to go Denver in this one because of the fact that they need it more, so I think that's going to be a little added edge to them. We got the Jazz versus the Lakers. I got the Jazz winning this one. We got the Kings versus the Suns. I'm going with the Kings, and then the Spurs facing off with the Clippers. I'm going with the Clippers, all right? So those are my picks. Let me recap. I got the Cavs, Sixers, Heat, Knicks, Hornets, Wizards, Bucks, Thunder, Trailblazers, Nuggets, Jazz, Kings, and Clippers. So only 2 upset picks. That's the Clippers and the Wizards over the teams they're playing today. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for today. Today we talked about March Madness, Villanova, your national champs. We talked about the Boston Celtics. We talked soccer, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We talked Champions League. We talked Josh Rosen. And we made my picks for tonight's game. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.